wanted to do a video of just driving the Audi. Just give you an idea of what it's like. I got this new point of view camera that we can use, and decided to do a longer video than usual. So this one is going to be about 20 minutes long. It's strictly me just driving the car and talking about some of the stuff that you encounter when you're driving in S3. Now, for you guys that are not subscribers to the channel, this is a 2017 facelift Audi S3. A lot of the stuff is going to be similar to a lot of the other Audis that are out there, you know, like the virtual cockpit, the MMI system is going to be similar. The ride comfort is probably going to be a little bit different, and I talk about that a little bit in the video, so be sure to stay tuned and let's get going. Alright guys, so we're going to start out here in comfort mode, and basically what that does is it loosens up the steering, so it actually feels kind of floaty to me. I'm not a huge fan of it, but some people may like it. It also softens up the suspension, so basically, you know, it absorbs the actual bumps a little bit better. And then the actual engine sound, and when I say engine sound, I mean the actual soundaktor system in this car, is quieted down a little bit, so, you know, it's not as loud. So this car is equipped with the auto start stop. All 2017 S3s are going to have that. So if I actually come to a stop here, actually we're not going to do it because we got a green light, maybe I'll show that to you a little bit later. But as you come up to a red light and you actually stop, the car will turn itself off to conserve fuel. And then basically, it'll, you know, as soon as you take your foot off the brake, it'll restart the engine. Now I am driving on the stock Continental tires, the summer performance tires, and they are fairly loud with the road noise. And then the roads here in Maryland aren't that great, so you are probably hearing a lot of road noise right now. At some point we will hit a red light so that I can show you that auto start stop, hopefully. So now we'll go ahead and switch it over to dynamic mode, and as you just saw, the revs jumped up quite a bit. Now in this mode the steering is much stiffer, which I actually drive in this mode all the time with the steering itself. I actually use the individual mode, but I have the steering set up in dynamic. It's much more tight, more responsive. Your, I guess, exhaust noise, the soundaktor is a little bit louder. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It is much louder. Holds the revs higher, and then the suspension itself is much more stiff, so you pretty much feel every single bump in the road. I really wouldn't recommend the, I guess, dynamic suspension setting. if you're daily driving, for your daily driving, because it's not very comfortable. Let's switch back over to comfort. Alright, so come to a stop, and there you can see the engine has actually stopped. And this is the sign that shows you that the auto start stop is engaged. Now the AC is still running in here. It does tone it down a little bit, but it is still running. Now, as I take my foot off of the brake pedal and go to the gas, the car starts back up automatically, and we can continue. So we'll go ahead and put it back into drive select mode, or dynamic mode. And the reason I switch it back over to comfort is because when the car's in dynamic, the auto start stop feature is disabled. So it will not do that if you're in dynamic mode. As you can see, it really holds the revs much higher when you're in dynamic mode. Car does downshift automatically, obviously, and it actually rev matches when it downshifts, which is really cool. It's not as satisfying as if you were doing a rev matched downshift in a manual transmission. That's always awesome when you can match it perfectly, but this car does it pretty well. It's pretty cool. As you can see, the car has not turned itself off because we are in dynamic mode. So this is the actual icon that you'll get. It's got the A, and then there's a slash through it. So the car is still running even though I'm stopped right now. You can really hear the turbo in this car, which is pretty cool. You can hear it spooling up, and then there is a recirc valve in it, and you can hear it a little bit when you let off the gas. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but I can definitely hear it. Let's get around this thing. Get out of the road. ahead and put it into individual mode, which is basically my settings. This is how I drive the car. So I have my engine and transmission set to auto, so it'll bounce back and forth between, you know, comfort and dynamic. Is that RS? Yeah, it is. Nice. My suspension control is also auto. So basically what happens when I get on the highway and I'm at higher speeds, the suspension stiffens up, which is nice. You feel more stable up there. And then when you're on these B roads, back roads, stuff like that, it is in comfort mode, so it's a little more comfortable. The steering, I always have that set in dynamic because I'm not a real huge fan of the comfort mode. It's too floaty for me, like I said earlier, and then the dynamic mode is much stiffer and more responsive. The Quattro System, which is basically your four-wheel drive system, I have that set in comfort. I'm not really sure how that affects things. I'm sure if you're racing the car, if you're out on a track, you would probably want to have that in dynamic mode. Then engine sound. So this is the actual soundaktor system, and if you have it in dynamic, it is a little bit louder. It's not the actual engine sound itself per se, it's just how it's being pumped out through the speakers. So it is a little bit louder when you have it at dynamic. If it's in comfort, it's supposed to be quieter. And then the ACC setting on that is actually the active center, or the active adaptive cruise control. So some of you guys might not have this unless you have a prestige model for the 2017s. But basically what that does is if you put it in dynamic mode and the car comes to a stop when you're using that system, it actually takes off much more, I guess, sharply. If you have it in comfort, it's a little more, I guess, comfortable, whatever. Somewhere. It's kind of getting on my nerves. So right there, the car did not turn off with the auto start stop. And the reason for that is because I didn't have the brake pedal fully depressed. So if you come up to a light like that and you don't want the car to stop, if you kind of, I guess, just push the brake enough to where the car actually, it holds it to a stop and don't fully depress it, the car will stay running. Now, if you fully depress the brake pedal, it will turn itself off. And it's something I actually do when I'm coming up to a light and I have to make a left-hand turn and there's, you know, oncoming traffic. I don't have that green arrow. Is I'll actually press this button here, and this actually disables that auto start stop system. So now I'm coming up to this light and I'll fully depress the brake pedal as I come to a stop. Fully depressed, and it turns off. Something I love about this car is how quickly it shifts. It's unbelievable. It does have a DSG gearbox in it, so the shifts are lightning quick. I don't know if you guys can hear that turbo. And then when you let off, you can hear it. I guess it's not really a blow-off valve, so it doesn't recirc to atmosphere, or not recirc, it doesn't vent to atmosphere. So it's not really loud or anything, which is nice. You know, this is a more grown-up car. You don't want to have it being obnoxious and loud, but you can still hear it a little bit. blasting through yellow and red lights in front of a police station. So we'll go ahead and kick it over to manual mode now, and you do that on the shifter by moving it to the right, just like that. So now I'm in manual mode. You can see I'm in 5th gear here in the virtual cockpit, and I can shift it with the paddles, and I can shift it with the gear shifter here. Downshift, it will do the rev match just like it does when you have it in the dynamic automatic mode. So look at that, you can see it popped up. Hit it again. And it'll hold those revs until you shift it. So you can see it's staying in 3rd gear, it's not doing anything. If I hit the right paddle shifter here, downshifts or upshifts into 4th. Now, if you decide that you don't want to downshift the car yourself, it will automatically do that. And then I'll actually shift it using the shifter here. To upshift, you'll push it forward. And downshift is going to be pulling it back towards you. Now, if you're coming from a manual transmission, that is going to be kind of weird because it's kind of backwards. You know, if you think about it, when you're driving a manual transmission, in order to upshift from 1st gear, you're pulling it back typically. So it is something you have to get used to when you're driving this car. Can't see shit past this. Upshift, it's pushing up, upshift again. Kick it back over to automatic, so you push it back to the left. And I do want to show you one more thing with the paddle shifters. Some of you guys might not know this, but so I am in automatic mode right now. I can hit the shifter paddles, and what it does is it'll throw it into manual mode. So right now, I just press the left paddle shifter, and now I'm in manual mode. I'm in 4th gear, so I have full control of it again for a short period of time. I don't know if you saw that, but it went back to automatic. So if you're trying to, you know, overpass somebody or pass somebody really quick, I can downshift it, downshift, pass them, don't touch anything, and then it will eventually go back into automatic mode, which is pretty cool. See, now it's back in automatic. Alright guys, so there you have it. Let me know what you think. If you liked the video, drop a like down below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. If you guys have any questions, be sure to drop a comment down below. I always spend some time going through all of the comments and usually respond to them, so be sure to do that. Thanks for watching, guys. I always appreciate it. Don't forget to reflect and never settle.